Hi everyone, it's Clement from MyFlySimX. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about my settings and my new PC specs. Just got a new computer, custom built computer in April of 2024. JAJ Technologies out of New York custom built this PC for me, and I'm super excited to share the specs with you. Big shout out to them. They did a phenomenal job. So let's go right into the specs. So I have a 34-inch Odyssey OLED G8 monitor. I've had that for a few months now, so nothing too new there. Note that I am running 2K ultra wide, which is 3440 by 1440. Now, the first thing, the biggest change I did with this custom PC is I went from an Intel to an AMD. Never I would have thought making the move, but based on the extensive research, the benchmarks, all the metrics, all the data that I was able to find when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator, the 7800 X3D was the winner in all of the CPUs. It might differ a little bit based on what other types of games you play or productions you do, but for me, I felt the AMD 7800 X3D was the best solution, and so far, it has not disappointed me. Amazing CPU for flight sim. Next, I got a 4070 Ti Super PNY, 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and that was an amazing upgrade as well. Coming from my 3080, which was 10 gigs of VRAM. Pretty significant boost. I can also enable frame generation as well, which is huge, which I use with DX12. But the extra 6 gigabytes of VRAM has really helped me in terms of performance as well, as 10 gigs for ultra wide was just not enough. So really nice jump there. I didn't go for the 4080 Super because I didn't feel it justified the price. Same amount of VRAM, 16 gigs, and there isn't a whole lot of difference. I think it's around 10, 15, maybe up to 20% in performance gains, but price-wise, it was just not worth it. Next, in terms of RAM, I went with 32 gigs, DDR5 at 6000 from G.Skill. I'm pretty happy with that. Motherboard, I got an Asus ROG STRIX B650EF gaming Wi-Fi. Great little motherboard for the AMD as well. In terms of storage, I knew I wanted something fast, so I went with a Samsung 990 Pro 2TB M.2. That has really improved my loading times when I load up Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's a big difference when in loading times, basically. In terms of CPU cooler, I went with the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. That's another big area where I did a lot of research, and in terms of noise, cooling, this was at the top of the benchmarks that I saw, so I decided to give it a try, and so far, so good. We all know that Microsoft Flight Simulator is a CPU hog and makes it run hot. This definitely helps it keep it cool. I never go above 60 degrees Celsius when running full load with the CPU. Last but not least, the Fractal Design North XL ATX full case. Beautiful, beautiful case with the wooden panel at the front. I love it. It is a little bit big, but I needed that XL version of the North to be able to fit the AIO cooler, the Arctic Freeze, and the 4070 Super. So these are my PC specs, I should say, but overall, super, super happy with this. But let's now go ahead and take a look at the Nvidia Control Panel settings. All right, so let's take a look at the Nvidia Control Panel settings. If I go over to Manage 3D Settings and then Program Settings under Microsoft Flight Simulator, you'll see that I use a lot of the default options, or settings I should say. I don't mess around with these options too much. Filtering is controlled by the application, anti-aliasing mode as well. One thing that did change is the max frame rate is off. Monitor technology is G.Sync compatible. The max frame rate, that's controlled by RTS. River Tuner, that's where I have it locked at 60. If we scroll down, I've selected my rendering GPU just to make sure, and I changed a couple of settings here for the texture filtering, off, clamp, high quality, and on as well. Threaded optimization is set to auto. Vertical sync, let the 3D application setting. So that would be Microsoft Flight Simulator, which we'll go into in just a little bit. So these are my 3D settings. Again, not a lot of changes, not a lot of tweaks. I like to leave things as default. One thing on the global performance, global settings, I should say, I like to have the power management mode set to prefer maximum performance. And I said that because if I play in other games, I want that maximum performance to be across any other games as well. If I go to my resolution, as we talked about earlier, 3040 by 1440 native. I have 100 at 175 hertz, and then I use the Nvidia color setting so I can bump the output color depth to 10 bpc, and that is pretty much it. Also set up my G-Sync here, and these are my settings in the Nvidia Control Panel. So now if we jump into Microsoft Flight Simulator, we'll go ahead and go into the settings. Display mode full screen, resolution 3440 by 1440, which is 2K ultra wide. Anti-aliasing I have set to TA. The render scale, I boosted it a little bit, set that to 110, which gives me a new resolution of 3784 by 1584. Sharpens things up a little bit, and I can afford it with my 4070 Ti. Frame generation is on. AMD sharpening is set to 100. V-Sync is set to off. I do use River Tuner to set the or to lock the frames to 60, which is plenty for me. It makes it sure it's really smooth. DirectX 12, of course, if you want to use FG frame generation, you need to have DX12. And then down to the advanced settings, my terrain level of detail set to 150, which is plenty again. Anything above that, I can start to get a little bit more stutters here and there, and I don't see a huge difference, so 150 is perfect. Off-screen terrain pre-catching is set to ultra. Terrain vector data set to ultra. And then a lot of the settings below are going to be set to high. Buildings, trees, grass and bushes. Object level of details, 150. Then below we have the clouds and texture resolution set to ultra. The filtering set to 16. Super sampling set to 8. Texture synthesis set to ultra. And then pretty much the rest of the settings are going to be set to high. Shadow maps are set to 1536. Terrain shadows 1024. More high settings, which is again is plenty for me. Glass cockpit refresh, make sure this is on high. But these are basically my settings. I find that with the Phoenix, I can pretty much get a smooth 60 frames per second anywhere I fly into any airport. I might get some stutters here and there, but honestly, it's been a huge performance gain, and I really enjoy it. I could push this to more than 60 if I wanted to, more towards 80, 90, sometimes 100, but I would rather have more stability, smoothness, and locked at 60, which is, in my opinion, for Microsoft or for a flight simulator game, flying 60 frames per second is plenty. You're not playing a shooter's game where you're quickly always panning around quickly, and you know, you don't need those extra frames per second. So this is my settings, my new PC, which I love, which I'm totally happy with at 60 frames per second. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. And then also, if you have any more questions, feel free to join our Discord. But thanks again for watching. Make sure you subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, I should say. And until next video or next stream, we'll see you later, and thanks for tuning in. Cheers.